Alright guys, how's it going? So today, in this video, I want to make a little behind the scenes view to how I made my intro video. So, obviously you would have seen it right before the beginning of this video, and basically I'd say it's probably an intermediate type video. It's fairly short, I believe like 7 seconds total render time, and then I slow it down a bit in video editing. But the way it works is it's just a bunch of planes that flop down and then rotate out and back in. So I got the camera on layer 5, the rest of this is on layer 4. I have like some screenshots that I use for like the banner photo, other stuff for YouTube on the other layers, which is why I pushed it back to layer 4. And the way that I'm getting everything to move so seamlessly is that I have all the text parented to the planes, which we haven't gone over yet, but if you are aware, all you do, you would select the text and then select the plane, and then hit Control P and you would parent it. So that's how the text is working. And then all of these, I did the best I could. The way I got these to rotate like this, I originally couldn't do changing the origin point for some reason, but what I wound up doing was going into them and then selecting the bottom two and then putting the cursor there by hitting Shift S. Cursor is just selected at the bottom. And now then if you go down here, you can change the rotation axis to 3D cursor. And now I was able to rotate it across the y-axis like that, and that worked pretty well. And then I'm also changing across the z as well. And so if you see here, it looks kind of rushed, where as soon as one's down, the other one goes. But if you remember in the actual video, it's kind of paused. So the way I rendered this, if you've ever done a rendered animation before, if you go to Output, you select the directory, you select the type. You may be tempted, as I once was, to hit any of these video formats. What I wound up doing is choosing a image format. I went with PNG, but a JPEG should work just fine. And then rendering like that, frame by frame, and I put it in a folder. And if you look in the folder, there's actually a whole bunch. These are all the frames. And by doing that, I could then extend some, shorten others, and basically really manipulate time without having to mess with rendering a whole bunch of blank frames that are exactly the same. So especially this one, there's absolutely no pause at all, but then I lengthen frame 60 or 61 in the actual file. So that is that. And then how I made this cube, it doesn't look completely like a cube, but being called Tech Cubed, I had to use a cube. If you see here, it actually is a cube. What it is, it's cut off by the other planes, and it's rotated on a weird angle that I just kind of did by going to the camera. I would hit R to rotate, but that doesn't rotate very well, so you would hit R again, and then by hitting R twice, you can really get some nice rotation and really get more specific, funky type angles. And so that's that. And then so because I did this, there's also some cool shadows on there. I didn't really want shadows on the text, so it's like placed really close to the plane. So this is the plane, this is the text, and they're all like that. If you're wondering what these dotted lines are, those are the parent lines to show you what's parented. So that's actually pretty much it for what it is. As I mentioned, it's not too complex. I guess another thing to mention is the font I used is, if you go here, if you tap on any of the text, I did not use the normal Blender font because that's not some that looks too great and it's not very good for branding or anything. So I went with Terminal font. I think I was also thinking about using Tahoma, but to do this, you have to download a file, make sure it's TTF. I think one other may work, but the ones that actually come on your computer normally doesn't work, so you have to actually find another one. So here's the Tahoma, actually, and I can see what that looks like. Oh yeah, so it's like it was italicized, and I just didn't want to deal with downloading a new one. And I honestly think the terminal looked kind of cool, so that's that. And then with the coloring as well, it's I did all this in cycles, so these are actually just normal diffuse, and I didn't even use nodes because I started this in Blender Render. And it's not emitting or anything, and you'll notice there's no lights even if I put the camera in. That's because I had the world on a really bright white, actually all the way up. So I didn't need any lights, it's just a direct blast down. Obviously it's not cinematic or look real at all, but it kind of gets a cool effect that I like, that's nice, bright, happy, kind of like that. And then lastly, you see the camera may look a little odd. That is because I put it on orthographic. So for instance, if I put it on this frame and put perspective, it's obviously zoomed in, so that's kind of a bad example, I guess. So I wonder if I went to a frame maybe like this. I guess because everything here is rather two-dimensional, it doesn't work best. I guess it may seem right. Yeah, you could see on the cube where it's kind of on an odd angle on orthographic, it's clear we're always on top. It's because it's getting rid of the perspective, which is why the other one's called perspective and this one's not. So that's basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video of how I made it, and I hope you like the actual render it's done. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.